Welcome back to A Little Bit Unglamorous. I'm your host, Erica Renee, and I have a confession. So this is actually the second time I am filming this episode. I filmed this entire podcast yesterday, and after I was finished, I realized the audio was messed up. So here we are again, take two. It's going to be better than ever. And I have a second confession. And it almost pains me to admit this, but I had, the last few episodes, my headphones were not working properly, so while I was wearing them, I actually could not even hear anything. And yesterday when I was messing with the settings, I finally figured it out, and I feel so silly, but we're learning, and Take two is going to be better than the first one. So we have a full-blown sunset episode. We're going to see if we can chase the sun. It has been gloomy all day long, and it's so weird. Right when 5 o'clock hit, the sun came out, and the whole day it was gloomy. I feel like we've gotten so much June gloom, May gray, and I feel like it's been contributing to me being sick. And yes, I'm still at the tail end of my sickness. Can you believe it? It's been about 3 weeks now, and I even went to the doctor. I went to one of those telehealth doctors, which is so convenient. The best thing that came out of 2020 was you basically don't have to leave your house for anything if you don't want to. However, I paid for the telehealth visit, and the guy told me to drink water and that it was normal to cough for up to 3 months, which sounds a little suspect to me. But last night I actually slept through the whole night for the first time in about 3 weeks, and hopefully we're at the tail end of this. I feel like I'm finally feeling like myself again. I got up, I got ready the last few days. I did my nails the other day. Can we take a minute for the nails? They are like a nude pink jelly, and I put some gems on there. And I've been doing my own nails for years now, and I find that why pay more when it comes to it? They look so good. I just get my nail polish gels off Amazon. I was thinking about it the other day, and surprisingly, a store that you wouldn't think has great affordable nail polishes is Urban Outfitters. I have a couple nail polishes from them, and I feel like every time I walk in there, they're on sale on their little clearance rack. They're really cool colors, and I was on their website the other day, and I had to stop myself from adding so many nail polishes that I don't need. If you know me, if you probably even follow me on social media, you have seen my extensive nail polish collection, but I justify it because I do my own nails, and I feel like even if I bought a whole new set of polishes, it still would not cost the same amount as going and getting them professionally done. So that's how I justify it to myself. Ooh, we got a nice breeze going on. So today was a nice relaxing day for me, which feels good because I feel like all of May was so chaotic and stressful, and it just kind of contributed to me getting sick. And I feel like the sun is coming out. Hopefully the weather is going to be nice here in San Diego, and summer will finally start. I just went on a walk with my boyfriend and the dogs, and we joke because one of his dogs, he has two huskies. They're the cutest things ever, and one of them is slightly overweight, but we love her, and she actually has her own Instagram account because I am one of those crazy people, and she's famous. People love her, so if you want to follow her, her handle is at Jenna the Land Seal. And Jenna is on a little weight loss journey. She is down 3 pounds, so if you want to cheer her on, we are trying to get our steps in every day. And I joke because I've been sick, I feel like Jenna and I have the same stamina because at the end of our walk, we are both ready to go home. So I've had a little while to sit on this, but the other day I was fuming over a situation at work, and I feel like it's very relatable no matter what your job is, what field you're in. So I have a little work vent, a little gripe, if you will. And I know that everyone has been in this circumstance, no matter what your job. Have you ever been in a situation where there's always that one person at work, and it might be in person, but for me it's over email, and it's always that person over email that you'll send one out, and not even 5 seconds later, that person will reply, oh, I already did that. And you'll check. And the thing that you asked for wasn't even close to done, not even close to what you needed. And now everybody on the chain is confused, thinking it's done. And that really grinds my gears at work. So instead of sending one email, you send 5 emails trying to explain why you need it and why it wasn't done. And it just makes things so much more difficult than they need to be. But isn't that life sometimes? Sometimes I feel like it's the blind leading the blind. I feel like as of late, my work-life balance is kind of getting a little off. I've worked so hard this last few years to really have a good work-life balance. I don't want my whole life to be work. I want there to be time for me to do things that I love, like this podcast, but it's a labor of love, and I'm so excited to be here. Something funny that also happened to me this last week, which is also one of those little things that you feel like shouldn't bother you, but in the moment it kind of poked you the right way and made you really peeved. And then right afterwards you think to yourself, wow, that was really ridiculous of me to get so bothered by that. This was one of those things. So I live in an apartment complex and everybody has assigned parking. So I get a call over the weekend from my landlord who tells me that somebody's been parking in my spot for the last few days and they haven't had a chance to reach out to them and tell them to move their car. And I said, thank you for letting me know. Hopefully they're moved by the time I get home tonight. I get home, the car is still there. No big deal. I just park one over and my landlord says, yeah, that's fine. Don't worry. We will make sure you don't get towed. I've lived there for a very long time and the same people park next to you, so you recognize the cars usually, unless it's a new person that's moving in or if it's actually somebody that has parked there that shouldn't be there. Perfect. So I get home and I'm pretty sure I have to rush to film this podcast for the last week, and right when I clock out from work I'll start filming and editing, and the night goes by. The next morning I figure I'm gonna leave, I'll move my car. The next morning all hell breaks loose over this parking spot. I'm getting calls, I'm getting texts, I'm getting voicemails about please call us back urgently from not the landlord, but the management company that oversees the complex. So I get up early in the morning, I move my car, and I'm still getting calls, texts, voicemails, call us urgently, like the world is ending. I call back the complex, and the first thing they say to me is, it's come to our attention that you've been parking in the wrong spot. And I instantly get so upset and I say, no, that is incorrect. Someone else has been parking in my spot. And in that moment, I was so much more peeved than I should have been. It's just one of those ridiculous situations. We're on the phone. The person says, oh, well, we can't be having you park in other people's spots. Can you send us a photo of the car? And I'm just like, the car is not there right now. All the cars were gone except for mine in that moment. No one was fighting for spots. And after I got off the phone, I laughed to myself because I thought, that was so ridiculous. The problem had been resolved. I had said, the problem is now resolved. Someone was in my spot. There's no problem anymore. And it made me so upset. I was so mad that when I saw the car parked in the carport next, I took a photo of it and I sent it to the company and I said, this car has been the one that's been parking in my spot. Like, go reprimand them. And then the next day, everyone got a mass text. Just one of those silly situations. Like, this is such a small, minuscule thing that made me so bothered, that turned into such a fiasco. I stepped back and I thought to myself, That was ridiculous. That whole thing was ridiculous. Mind you, in the entire time I've lived there, which has been quite a long time, I have never towed one person, made a stink when people were parked in my spot. And it just really made me think to myself, all right, I'm not going to be cool about it anymore. No more neighborly lenience. Speaking of doctor's visits, I think a few podcasts back I mentioned that I had went to the dermatologist for the first time, and I had a great experience overall. However, I just got the bills in the mail for this visit, and I think anybody who has ever had to deal with insurance knows that insurance is the worst thing you could ever have to deal with. I feel like dealing with insurance is one of the realms of hell because it is absolutely chaotic. I did my due diligence. This is not my first rodeo dealing with insurance. I called them ahead of time, made sure everything was good to go. I even asked for, an estimate of the price, and the people had no idea, basically. And so I told myself, well, if it's within this range, I'll be okay with that. And it was a high range. And so I get the bill, and I'm like, okay, that was around what I was expecting. It was about $200 or something, which seems kind of like a lot, but it is a specialist. And 1 month later, which is recently, I get a second billing for other items that were billed, and it brings the total up to $530 in outstanding payment that my insurance did not pay for. And at this point, what is even the point of having insurance? They covered basically nothing. I've never had such a terrible insurance experience. You know what? I probably have, but for the most part, I feel like I've always had insurance that's covered things that I'm paying into, so I pay into this monthly. How does this work? It took me 3 months to get this appointment, and the insurance also billed me for most of the balance. So then fast forward when I went to this telehealth appointment, which, by the way, I still have not seen the bill for, which I'm sure will be very comical because the guy just told me to drink water. And I thought about getting a second opinion. However, I was worried for the price that would follow for the second opinion. Moving on to something exciting. Today I finalized my hotel for Taylor Swift Eras Tour. I am so excited. The tickets I was really lucky with the tickets. I didn't realize that I won the lottery, and I was able to get them through Ticketmaster. I have nosebleed seats, but they were for a price that I was willing to pay. And I realized the closer we get to the date, the hotel prices would skyrocket. And I know a lot of people are still looking for tickets, so I feel like I'm in a decent boat. But the last few weeks, I was looking at prices for hotels, and it was about $300 plus. And I figured, you know what, I wanted to stay more than one night. I really want it to be an experience. I'm taking my mom to this, so I want to stay at a nice hotel. I want us to have a good weekend. And I want to stay in an area that's safe and not a janky hotel. So the prices were skyrocketing, and I was kind of getting really worried about it. However, I finally locked in a hotel at a decent price today, so I'm really happy about that. All of the major expenses are accounted for, and now I just have to worry about friendship bracelets, what am I wearing, and getting there. Speaking of Taylor Swift, I actually have a couple of things on my Taylor Swift updates this episode. So she recently released her South American tour tickets in a couple of different countries, one of them being Brazil. And I saw something on the internet the other day that basically said scalpers were out of control in Brazil. You think the whole Ticketmaster fiasco was bad in America? Scalpers are lining up with guns in Brazil and bullying people for their tickets. And the police are not doing anything because I'm sure they're getting a cut because everything is corrupt. I think the last show Taylor played was Detroit. Before that was Florida, and I know people were saying that when she was on stage, she accidentally ate a bug while she was talking. Turned into one of those funny internet moments that circulated. I love these little genuine, candid experiences that Taylor has at her show. For example, one of the sets she was playing, she was singing Delicate, and one of the lyrics of that song says, "But you can make me a drink," and then she mouthed to the audience, "I need one." And I thought that was so cute and so cheeky, and it really makes her audience feel like they connect with her, which is why I love her so much. It really looks like she's having a good time at these shows. Like, she really enjoys performing for her fans in the downpouring rain, and her shows are basically a free ad for Pat McGrath because her makeup looks flawless even in torrential downpour rain. Trust me, I love saving a buck on products that do the job just as well, but some things are worth it. And the Pat McGrath lipstick in Elson 4, that's her signature red lately for this tour, is 100% worth it. So she recently announced her Speak Now Taylor's version is going to be released in July, and apparently someone in France managed to get their hands on 10 copies of the vinyl and sold them. Apparently they found 8 of the copies, 2 of them are still lost, and the man who stole them was sentenced to 8 months in prison for stealing them, which is so random. I know Taylor Swift and Maddie Healy are no longer a thing, and I remember these photos coming out of them at a club or a restaurant, and it turns out the restaurant that they were at was a very exclusive members-only club in New York City. I believe it's called Casa Capriani, and it's members only. You have to pay to be a part of it. So someone who was at the venue took those photos of them, even though it's supposed to be exclusive, a private event that caters to a lot of celebrities who want their privacy. And some fan who was there and a member snapped the photos. They went viral, and that's how this whole fiasco of that relationship came about. There's rumors that Taylor has since canceled her membership there, and whoever took the photos was kicked out of the club. They're no longer allowed to be members, and I'm totally in agreement with that. I get that people are so excited when they see celebrities and they're starstruck, but when you're in an exclusive private place, you think there would be some sort of boundaries. Even though you're a celebrity, it doesn't really give people the right to take photos of you like you're a zoo animal, and I can't imagine that. That's really disappointing and disturbing. I know there's been a lot of famous celebrities that have been showing up to Taylor Swift's show. One of them was so random, but Flava Flav was at one of her last shows, and he still wears those clocks around his neck. And I remember it just reminded me of the height of trash 2000s TV, Flavor of Love, I Love New York, I Love Money, Rock of Love with Bret Michaels. And I used to love those shows. I couldn't get enough of them. The Girls Next Door. Those are some fond memories for me, and so random, but it just jogged this memory that I had of, coincidentally, one of the girls who was on Rock of Love with Bret Michaels, trying to win his affection, basically. She now, or at least as of 10 years ago, had a matchmaking business. I think she was trying to be a millionaire matchmaker type spin-off or something like that. And she reached out to me on Facebook, and I looked her up and realized that she was on that show, and I just thought it was so funny and so random. But that's a little tidbit that reminded me of. Last episode, I mentioned I was so excited because Camila Cabello and Shawn Mendes were back together, and just as quickly as I filmed that episode, I saw an update that they broke up again, and this time for good, and I was so bummed because I really loved them. On the topic of early 2000s trends, there are some more trends that I am seeing. I know the long denim skirt trend is in full effect. I saw a variation that had buttons all the way down, so you could kind of create your own slit, and I thought that was the coolest one that I had seen so far. But Another trend that was recently on the red carpet was peekaboo bras. So basically, the height of the 2000s, your bra straps were showing. It was even part of your outfit. Everyone remembers Mean Girls when Regina George is getting in her gym outfit. She puts on her shirt and the holes are cut out of the nipples of her shirt, and she's wearing this neon bra, and she looks down and she just rolls with it, and the entire school is doing the same thing, copying her, thinking it's cool. Scarlett Johansson and one of the girls from Euphoria was recently seen on the red carpet with this look. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I feel like it's one of those trends that needs to stay in the 2000s. It kind of looks a little trashy, a little cheap. I think for the normal person, it just makes you a little disheveled looking. Speaking of trends, are Crocs still in? Because I have a lot of pairs of them, and I just realized I never really find an occasion to wear them, even though they're pretty comfortable and I think they're cute. They're ugly cute, right? And it's funny because I remember a long time ago I had a doctor recommend to me Crocs because they're really comfortable and they're supposed to be very supportive and comfy for your feet. And me as a teenager said, absolutely not. I would not be caught dead in those. They're hideous. And fast forward now, I have a handful of pairs. So I really hope they're in still. Let me know. I'll put a poll up actually on this podcast. If you listen on Spotify, it allows me to do polls. So I'll say Crocs, are they still in? Yes or no? Vote, let me know. This weekend I was hanging out with some friends, and as you know, lately I have been obsessed with Doc Martens. I think I have like 3 pairs now, and coincidentally my next pair that I want is on sale right now for 30% off, and I am trying so hard not to purchase them, but I did just book that hotel, so I need to cool it. However, I was talking to my friend and the topic of Crocs came up, and she said, absolutely not. You don't deserve to be wearing those Doc Martens right now. Take them off. You don't deserve them. So the Tony Awards happened recently, and something funny that I saw in the news was in regards to Lea Michele. And if you're not familiar with her, she was one of the main actresses in Glee. She played Rachel Berry, and I thought she was really talented at the time. However, since it's come out that she is a mean girl, people on set came out and said some very disturbing things about her, that she was difficult to work with, that she was basically a diva, a drama queen. Naya Rivera, before she passed, wrote in her memoir basically alluding to a cast member that would throw fits and lock herself in her trailer, and it was very easy to decipher that that was about Lea Michele. So Lea recently joined the cast of Funny Girl, which she plays the main lead part, which I believe was originally played by Barbra Streisand, and she performed one of the songs, Don't Rain on My Parade, at the Tony Awards. Where she joined the cast later in 2022, she succeeded someone else who was originally cast as the role, which happens a lot, which made her ineligible to win a Tony. So she performed this song, and one of her Glee cast members, Alex Nawal, who played Unique, did win a Tony, and people were saying it was justice because Lea was such a mean girl, and I just thought that was kind of funny. And of course, who remembers all of the rumors that Lea Michele can't read, which aren't true but are just really silly. Side note, I remember when Glee first came out, before it premiered, they actually held audition where anybody could submit their own audition tape, and I remember the song you could sing was Lean on Me. And I remember being in high school and I wanted to audition. I think I actually filmed a clip of me singing that song to submit. I'm not even sure if I ended up submitting it. I'm not even sure if they actually used those submissions or if it was just kind of something to gain hype for the show premiering. But that's another little tidbit that reminded me of. I've been talking about Britney Spears a lot lately, and the other day I saw something that alluded to her maybe releasing a new album recently, which made me really excited because I love my girl Britney. I want to see her come out on top. I know her album Blackout, which she released in 2007, 2008, kind of in the height of the era where she was just going through it with the media, and she released this killer album that critics and fans loved. After all of this drama she's been going through and the conservatorship, I really want to see her release something. I want to see her have the best comeback ever. But so this is rumored because a producer, I guess, tweeted that he had been spending the last 9 months creating beats for the new Britney Spears album, and that got deleted very fast, but not quick enough for people to screenshot it, and it circulated around the internet. So now there's talks that there's a new album coming out. I don't know if it's going to be soon, but that's something exciting to look forward to. Britney, I love you. I got my belly button pierced because of you. Speaking of new albums, Doja Cat recently put something up on Instagram, and I believe it's just a photo of what appears to be her next album. And I know she had been getting a lot of slack lately because she was really big and she dropped one or a couple of albums and then disappeared. People were wondering if she basically got her bag and then bounced, which I can't really blame her. She is a millionaire now, so I wouldn't really blame her if she just wanted to take her money and run. But she is also coming out with a new album as well. As usual, I've been watching a lot of Netflix lately. I have been really into documentaries. And Netflix has been coming out with a lot of documentaries lately. The Anna Nicole Smith one, the Arnold Schwarzenegger one, which I actually just watched. There was even a Unabomber one, which I watched a few months ago with my boyfriend, and I thought it was really fascinating. And I saw an article actually just the other day that said the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski, was found dead in his cell. He's in jail. He was 81 years old. The article that I read did not state the cause of death, but then other ones that I saw alluded to it being self-inflicted. I love a good true crime story, and I love true crime justice. So the Unabomber became famous because he was making a series of homemade bombs and mailing them all around the United States, eluding the police for about 17 years. And the irony is he ended up being captured because he wrote a manifesto to the Washington Post to publish, and his own brother recognized his handwriting and turned him in. I can't believe it's already going to be Wednesday, halfway through the week, and we had a 3-day weekend this week, so I'm looking forward to relaxing, and I haven't really been doing anything too substantial lately just because I've been sick. I know other people can relate. Once you get off work, all you want to do is turn off your brain, vegetate, sit in front of the couch, and just reset. I'm the type of person that I feel like I'm very outgoing, but also the older I get, I'm a little more introverted as well, just because I feel like during my day-to-day and my job forces me to be very enthusiastic and interact with a lot of people. So when I log out, I want to do the opposite of that. So that's all I have for you for this week's episode. We managed to get it done before the sun goes down. I'm not sitting here in the dark like I have been in previous episodes. As always, thank you so much for being here. You can listen to this podcast on Apple, Spotify, and also on YouTube. We do have an Instagram account at A Little Bit Unglamorous if you want to be updated whenever a new episode is released, which is every Wednesday. And I'm your host, Erica Vernay. I will see you in next week's episode. Bye, guys.